And normally, it looks like we see one of our players mulliganing to 6, and your eyes are not deceiving you. It's not Peter.
Oh, my gosh.
I know.
Now that means he's not going to win, Corey.
Yep. It looks like that's a double Mox Amber Swan Song Spell Pierce hand. I think that middle card there is a Steam Vents, an Altard Steam Vents. That hand looks really terrible as well. So this could easily be a multi-5. And Peter being the #1 seed, Jackson being the #2, Jackson will be on the draw here.
Oof. Multi-5. All righty.
Yep.
Well, either Peter is going to absolutely crush this game or lose, because mulliganing is his secret power, turns out.
It seems like it. So, yeah, this game 1 especially just comes down to speed. Players really don't have a lot to interact with either of the combo. If anything, Peter has a little bit more tools. I guess I'm checking for the Bajuka Bog. It is in the sideboard as well, so it really is just kind of 2 ships passing in the night for game #1. There's some Besejus from Peter that you can search up. You know, one of the more popular things we'll see if Peter can't win the game, playing a Primeval Titan, getting Simic Growth Chamber and Beseju, and untapping a Growth Chamber and having Beseju available. That's kind of how you're able to close the door. Defend against the breach combo, but for the most part, they're both just trying to go fast.
Yeah. And a couple of permission spells in Jackson's list. You know, got Swan Song, Spell Pierce, Ottawara to return something, Sink into Stupor as well, and a good old Lightning Bolt. Who knows? That 3 damage could be important.
Yeah, not any of those cards you just listed. None of them are very relevant. As Spell Pierce, there ends up being a lot of mana, or Urza's Saga gets the only spell you want to counter, the Amulet anyways.
Well, fine, okay. Just pointing out there's some stuff he could do.
That's fair, that's
There's Flame of a Knorr, he could blow something up.
That's fair.
That all just adds to the storm count, and there's a Grape Shot in there, so that makes me happy. No, that's his Oracle main deck, though. All right, so he's doing the Grape Shot thing, and got the Jace Wielder of Mysteries in the sideboard, and Kappa Cannoneer, who we haven't seen for a little while.
Yep, absolutely. So, getting into this here, 3 mana available, and the Spelunking.
Nice.
Jackson did decide to play the Tamiyo instead of holding up mana for a Spell Pierce, and would have actually got a nice target here, but you really do want to get to the battlefield, start getting your artifact count high, and be able to turn on Mox Opal.
Jeez. Just do all the things. Grazer, Spelunking, Green Sun Zenith.
Yeah, and there's the Green Sun Zenith for the Dryad Arbor. The nice combo of being able to play that for 1. And now we have 5 mana already for Peter with the Amulet at home, essentially, Spelunking, able to easily cast Titan next turn.
Not too shabby. As turn passes back to Jackson, Tamiyo swings in, gets a clue. And preordain to try and sculpt the hand here a little bit here for Jackson.
Land and Bauble, nothing too exciting. Bauble is decent if you need it for a Mox Opal, but looks like we do not. And we'll see if Jackson has anything available here. There is the 3 artifacts.
Neat. Emery. Cool. Another Emery. Wow. Another Tamiyo. No artifacts in the bin for Emery.
And no land drop here. So if Peter has Titan, any land, it's pretty much all wrapped up here. And blink and you miss game 1. As Peter's untapping pretty quickly as well. So I wouldn't be too surprised to see everybody's favorite 6-drop come into play.
Whee! Summoner's Pact. Gonna go find a friendly Prime Titan. And, yeah, do some dumb stuff.
Yep, and we'll see if this is actually the win. You know, easily could not be. We're going to see there's the Lotus Field.
Yep.
You can also get something like Valakut and Handwear Battlements to start it off. But if you're getting Lotus Field, that does lead me to believe that we're going to be doing something maybe a little bigger than just playing 1 Primeval Titan.
Yeah, I think Peter's just going to try to go for the win here. Let's get these Lotus Fields on the board. Sacrifice a couple lands apiece. 6 green mana floating.
So sacrificing the Lotus Field themselves. So that is leading me to believe that we are going to see another Summoner's Pact for Aftermath Analyst.
Yeah.
Get all those lands back, or has the Analyst already.
And then just sack it straight away.
There's another 2 mana, another Vesuva.
Vestige, jeez.
Yeah. So here comes all the lands coming back.
Whee!
And we don't necessarily see the mirror pool yet. So not all the pieces are ready to go. But with that Shifting Woodlands already in play, all we got to do is get Delirium, and you can copy the Analyst again.
Jeez. What else are we doing? Vesuva's a Vestige, so double mana off of that.
So we're going to have a ton of come into play triggers here. You're going to have to return 2 lands to your hand. You're going to have to sacrifice 4 of them. Now you're probably going to sacrifice Urza's Saga, as that turns on Delirium with being a land and an enchantment. And as long as there's some follow-up from Peter, should be all good to go heading us into the next game.
Look at Jackson. Pretty sure it's just exhaustion, but he looks pretty bored.
To be fair, that is exactly the expression we saw on Jackson's face when he just locked up a World Championship slot. So Jackson seems like a very cool customer here.
Oh, yeah.
Ready to just, maybe go out to eat or just get ready for the next game.
That's what I'm thinking. He's probably in sideboard mode already. He's been like, okay, cool, I'm going to bring a little bit of this, a little bit of that.
And I did, I was kind of looking over as Jackson finished his match first. I was looking over at him with either his buddy or teammates. And they were, the sideboard was fanned out.
Yeah.
They were talking about plans. So from the second Jackson left the feature match area, it was preparing for the next round. It wasn't the high fives that you maybe see from maybe some other
players. Yeah.
Exactly.
All right, look at all those mana floating here. Jeez.
Yep, just a ton of mana. And now we'll see what the follow-up is.
It's like a Vestige and the Dryad Arbor back to hand.
Yep. Something like another Pact or another Titan should be good enough. And there is the Teleria West, which should do it. If you Teleria West...
Go get a Pact.
Get a Pact. Get a Primeval Titan. Primeval Titan gets Mirror Pool. Infinite Titans. Infinite Haste. And that looks to be what Peter's explaining to Jackson.
And Jackson with 1 land is just gonna sit there and make sure Peter does it all right. But Peter's done this about 12 times this weekend, no doubt. So,
and if anything, this is a moment where if you haven't seen the Amulet Titan do this, it's great to just say, show me, because you want to learn. You want to learn and make sure to definitely see that Peter can do it. Obviously, you don't make the finals of a regional championship by not knowing your deck inside and out.
Yeah.
But most importantly, if Jackson hasn't seen someone with this level of expertise combo off on you like this, you want to see it so you know how to sideboard into the next game.
Precisely. So Peter showing him in all the ways he's dead. And we're going to go to sideboards now. What is Jackson bringing in? Yeah,
so Jackson is got a decent amount of options. It's going to be kind of what cards you need to take out to start, but the Boseijus are excellent. One line that you'll see a lot from Boseiju is when Peter, let's say, has an Amulet in play and plays a bounce land like a Simic Growth Chamber, with the untapped trigger on the stack, you Boseiju the bounce land, and then they get to fetch up a land, but they also have to return one.
Right.
So it's kind of like you skip your land drop altogether. So that's really nice. You can also Boseiju Amulet as an option. Nature's Claim for Amulet's going to be great. From sideboarding from the Grinding Breach side, it's very one-dimensional in the sense that you need to stop Amulet, you need to stop Primeval Titan. So the cards that do that, the consigns are very good.
Yeah, I was about to say. That seems pretty good against all these triggered abilities.
Exactly. If consign, if you had one of those consigns at this moment and you're able to cast it, replicate and counter all the untapped triggers, and then all the Lotus Field triggers still make you sack the land, something like that can prevent that.
Devastation.
You can also bring in Flame of Knorr to be able to just have another card against Amulet. And I would bring in the Jace as well, because Bojuka Bog we'll go over to the Amulet side. Bojuka Bog's for sure going to come in. From Peter's side, that's a good plan B. If Peter can't just win straight away, being able to Titan for a Bojuka Bog and a bounce land to bounce the bog and then keep bogging Breach over and over can be a really nice plan. I also like the Dismembers and the Force of Vigors, as well as the Collector Oofs, the One of Endurance, and the Keen-Eyed Curator are all very reasonable cards. So both players are very prepared for each other.
As the players determine all their sideboarding and whatnot. Again, we just want to say thank you very much for tuning in this weekend and watching the Regional Championship here from Portland. And to celebrate, SCG always does some cool things, such as the Flash Sale, which is happening today. It ends tomorrow, which is Monday. Sorry for those of you who have to go back to work. I've just reminded you that it is the end of the weekend. Go and get your singles. Anything over $50 will get you free shipping. So be sure to go take advantage of that.
Yep, absolutely. So, yeah, like you were saying, though, I mean, this has been a great regional championship. I love... as a competitive Magic player and Magic commentator, I love watching these subtle metagame shifts.
Yeah.
And, I think the biggest story from these regional championships, this one specifically, is Breach definitely had an uptick.
Yep.
Boros Energy had a bit of a downtick.
Yep.
And then the Orzhov Blink deck had a huge uptick. So it'll be now interesting because if I'm looking forward to play the next regional championship, I would be very much thinking, okay, Breach is the deck to beat.
Yeah.
And everyone kind of will be thinking that. And now if Breach has a bad weekend at the next regional championship, it seems very, very reasonable. But if it just dominates again, maybe that is just far and away the best deck.
Yeah.
And time will tell. But also, Amulet gamers, you got someone in the finals, and it's looked pretty good as well.
Yeah, the format is self-correcting. If it is cyclical in nature, as we've seen with a lot of different metagames, then Breach will fall off for a bit. Something will take its spot. Maybe it's Titan, maybe it's Blink, and then everyone's going to kind of adapt to beat those strategies, and then we'll see Grinding Breach make an appearance once again. No doubt.
Exactly. That is exactly how it's definitely supposed to work.
Yeah.
There's been decks at certain times where it's hard to correct. Maybe it's just too powerful. And see if there's any action that needs to be done. But I definitely don't think we're there yet. We'll see. We'll just see how it goes from here.
So, in your opinion, then, as a competitive Magic player, as you put it, and you're a very good Magic player, Corey Baumeister.
Well, thank you.
If you had to pick a different deck because everyone was targeting Breach, what would you be playing?
That is a good question. I would probably be trying to play Eldrazi. I think it looked pretty good this weekend. And Eldrazi, the one thing I didn't mention, it stayed pretty constant.
Yeah.
It was kind of that third most popular deck. It had some great numbers. It wasn't anything that just was like, whoa, this is a new revolutionary version of Eldrazi, because this Gruul Eldrazi that for MTG, Fernando played at the Prague RC, definitely seems like the go-to list, and it just had another great weekend. So I would probably play that, as it really looked like it had game against the two big decks. Grinding Breach is just as close to a 50-50, I would say, since it's very favored game one and then struggles in the post-port a bit. And it looked like it just destroyed energy all weekend. So I'd be casting Writhing Chrysalis and Karn the Great Creators if someone pried my Mox Opals out of my hands.
And, being able to pilot two, pretty different decks, it can only benefit you.
Oh, 100%. I think some of the best Eldrazi players that I've seen are players that have either played a bunch of combo decks or have played from the other side, because you got to know what their weakness is to be able to know what to Karn for.
Absolutely. Jackson seems to be okay with this hand, question mark?
Didn't look good. I saw Grape Shot. I think I still saw Lightning Bolt, which I would not expect that to be in. Maybe I missaw it, but something like Unholy Heat is perfectly reasonable as it deals 6 damage to creatures, but looks like a mulligan from both players here. At least it's fair here, seeing some even stuff here.
Yeah. But again, Peter's power is his mulligans.
It seems like it.
Yeah, it seems like Amulet's hiding mulligans pretty well. There's so many convoluted ways to get to what you need in this deck. Like
Yes.
when I saw it the first time, I know I messaged you. I'm like, what the hell is going on in this deck? And then you explained to me. I was like, oh, okay, cool. That's so complicated.
It really is. You know, I think Grinding Breach is a very complicated deck, and I think it's one of its biggest strengths is it's extremely hard to play against and sideboard against. But I think Amulet, you know, it pales in comparison to how complicated Amulet really is. You know, Grinding Station at the end of the day is an A plus B combo. Where Amulet, you have so many ways to get to the final equation.
Jeez. I mean, your brain must be fried. But I guess, you know, through repetition and stuff, you understand what you're trying to do and go for. But, like, when I first looked at it, I'm like, okay, what's the deal with this deck? Like, there's just a bunch of 6/6s. Cool, sure. But the power is in the lands.
Definitely. The power is in the land, and I think one thing that we're seeing from Peter's list, as looks like Peter is going down to 5 here, is Green Sun Zenith. I don't think that was stocked by any means in these Amulet decks. Like, it started off right when it got unbanned. Everyone played it. You know, I was watching Canister stream, Piotr Glukowski, and was just like, started with 3, started with 4 maybe, and just kept taking them out until, you know, his words, this card sucks in the deck, I'm not playing it. But we see Peter, you know, putting some good use to it.
Canister. He is a character.
Oh, definitely, definitely.
Alrighty, Peter, what you got here, friend?
Yeah,
you got 5?
Hopefully we stop at 5 cards here.
Yeah.
So this isn't a very one-sided game. Like any one-sided game you may be watching from the previous Super Bowl. Anybody who's coming in to watch after that. That one looked pretty one-sided. Congrats to all the Philly fans out there.
Sports ball. Who am I cheering for? I don't know.
Well, it's over now.
Okay.
At least it was the last time we checked. That one didn't look very close.
Alrighty. I think Peter might have a hand he likes. Let's see if 2 cards go to the bottom, then we are good to boogie.
Yeah, looks like we have a keep here. And now the hand from Jackson looks pretty good here. We have a Rumble, we have a Bobble, a Swan Song, 2 lands, and an Emery from the glance that I got. So no real great turn 1 play. You can play the Bobble. You probably won't want to sack it. But turn 2 for the Rumble looks pretty strong. And unfortunately, if it is Swan Song, not able to counter an Amulet if it gets played, enchantment, instant, or sorcery. So not ideal there, where in this particular situation would have hoped for one of the other counter spells.
If only it was a spell pierce.
Exactly. Would have been better here.
Bobble to kick things off, along with a Scalding Tarn. Here we go. Can Peter 2-0 to win this regional championship? Or is Jackson got something to say about that?
Yep, absolutely. looks like that's an alternate art Bajuka Bog, as he pointed to your graveyard, which didn't contain any goodies so far.
What is that even? I'm going to go.
All right, so here is the maze to be able to find something here. I think one of the better cards that Jackson could find right now is being able to find a Mox Amber, be able to play a Mox Amber, play Emery and Rumble in the same turn to be able to get a bunch of permanents on the battlefield.
It is a Barrow Downs from The Lord of the Rings.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Very pretty. Alrighty, what's going on here? So, Hedge Maze, a Mishra's Bauble, and a Scalding Tarn. Cracking another. Gonna find a Shockland.
Yeah, likely getting a Steam Vents here. Life total doesn't really matter in these games. Gets the Breeding Pool instead. Doesn't need the red mana. It does look like the Steam Vents was milled over there with the Hedge Maze, which can be a problem. You know, you do only usually play one of the duels, a Breeding Pool, Steam Vents, sometimes a Stomping Ground.
Yeah, he's got all 3.
Where if you Emery over one of these lands, sometimes it can be a problem, but usually not the absolute biggest deal.
Speaking of Emery, Malevolent Rumble, there's a Saga Island, and another, which was that, Scalding Tarn, hit the bin.
And cracking one of the baubles now. No real point in getting rid of the other one yet, because one thing you could see, if there's something like Amulet, Grazer, Bounce Land, you could get bogged again this turn, so you don't want to put both of them into the yard and just give them away for no reason. Now we might have a response to this, and this no red mana could actually be a big problem. Oof, like, is a very easy hate piece to deal with, but you do got to have red mana, and from what I saw, I don't think we have it.
Yeah.
Or a way to remove it right now.
Stomping ground.
I mean, we saw Peter absolutely dominate the top 8 against his Breach opponent by just playing an oof. Both players looked at each other for like 6 turns, and then eventually he found a Titan. So Collector Oof can deal and do some damage here.
Malevolent Rumble, mills over a couple things here. No red mana still. There's a Saga of the Land. Emery bringing back anything? Any red mana in there for her? Nope. Just going to be the Mishra's Bauble.
Yeah, just a useless artifact right now.
Hey, it's doing its best.
It's doing its best. Now even the Urza Saga can't get red mana as Mox Opal's turned off.
Yep.
You know, if you have 2 mana, you can do something like Breach, bring back a Lightning Bolt or something like that. But I see a lot of blue-green cards, no land, and I think a Breach in hand from Jackson. So not great.
No, it's
not great at all.
Not looking good at all. Certainly an oof from Jackson's side of things, even though it's on Peter's board.
Yep.
And we're getting cheeky, getting some damage in. Down to 14 goes Jackson. No shenanigans yet from Peter's side, though.
Yep, Collector's Oof here. One of the most difficult cards to deal with. You know, a 2-mana 2/2 that has the Karn static ability ends up being really strong. Now, that being said, Jackson will be able to make big enough creatures here where if Peter doesn't do anything, you know, Jackson will be able to beat down with these constructs and do some damage. Plus, we did see a Swan Song. So Jackson has the ability to make constructs while, you know, simultaneously countering anything that's relevant. But Swan Song really doesn't counter that many things. It doesn't counter Primetime or Amulet, which is kind of brutal.
Ooh, Dry to Elysian Grove now. Everything's a mountain could be relevant shortly with Valakut.
Yep, and Bajuka Boggs Jackson once again. And can find a target there, as it is an enchantment.
Yep, Swan Song takes care of the Dryad, so no extra land drops, and no mountains across the board.
Yeah, I think that Swan Song was a classic case of, oh, a target? Cast it.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, do it. Gets a bird for his efforts, though.
Yeah.
At the very least.
Looks like we're like, is this okay for a token?
Well, we'll find out. It's a bird.
That's a beautiful bird.
That's a 2/2 pretty bird. Yeah.
Oh, that was almost detrimental there.
What?
Peter almost attacked into that Saga, and I mean that.
Oh yeah, that would have been bad news bears indeed.
Jackson was like, "I'll let you attack if you want to go back."
Yeah, please come. Is that a 3/3 now?
Yeah, 3/3. It's about to be at the very minimum of 5/5.
5/5, yeah.
If Jackson wants to, with making a construct and searching up a 0 drop here.
Yeah.
And I mean, then the pressure's on.
Yeah. Yeah, now it's a face race. So a bird, an oof, and 2 constructs over here. Urza Saga can go and find a bauble, an opal, or the Mox Amber.
Yep, Jackson will still definitely need to do something else here to deal with that oof and start getting the combo going. But now, even if you're able to deal with the oof, cast the Breach in your hand, which that's no easy ass by any means. If you get Opal, then at least if you find a red land, then you can kill the oof with a presumed Unholy Heat or Flame of Knorr or something, and then the Opal's online, which then you can Breach with. Even if you can do all that, you still also need the Grinding Station as your graveyard's gone already.
Haywire Might is the card that is found off of Urza Saga. Is he able to cost it this turn?
Just put into play there from Saga.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yep. And now we got 6/6s. So, I mean, this is a true clock. If we can piece together one more artifact to deal 6 here, put Peter down to 14, and then make those constructs 7/7s, that's kind of the magic number here for what Peter's is at. But you do have the ability to just block with the 2/2, and, of course, whatever shenanigans are afoot from Peter here.
Yep. One way to get rid of the oof is to force it to block, so...
Yep.
Hopefully something Jackson can work towards here to tie up this finals of our regional championship here in Portland. So, once again, thank you, everyone, for joining us watching this finals, and yeah, seeing who is going to be crowned champion. Malevolent Rumble now for Peter Husisian.
Okay, looking to try to find some amulets here, or at least try to find maybe some bounce lands. Nothing too exciting there. Not sure what that card under the Crumbling Vestige is.
Grazer, that's the little, I'm going to eat your graveyard guy. The scavenging
Oh,
ooze,
yeah, the
but
keen-eyed curator, huh?
That's the
Okay. Not a bad card here. Not anything too exciting. And then can't get the Force of Vigors, so...
Yeah, he exiles stuff and then becomes a 4/4 when there are 4 or more card types. So it's the Delirium Raccoon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Card types among the card exiled by the Keen-Eyed Curator. So it doesn't combo with Bajuka Bog. It's not the cards already in exiled. The Curator does have to eat them itself. Yep.
He's digging in the trash.
Yeah, there we go.
He's a trash panda.
There we go.
He gets nice and fat and chunky and needs to go on a diet. Righty-ho. What are we doing here, friends?
Yeah, we'll see. So that is another Gruul Turf. Picking up a land.
Okay.
And now next turn, Primetime is online for the first time. And we'll see if Jackson has any way to disrupt here. And it looks like these are only going to be 6/6s, so if Peter wants to, could take 12, but easily can chump block with one of the bird.
The bird and the spawn going to jump in the way there, protect the life total. Bye-bye, birdie. Oof, sticking around.
Okay.
Was that a Tameo in hand?
That was a Tameo, so Tameo doesn't look great here, but the one thing it does do, which, I mean, Peter kind of has to have a follow-up here. Otherwise, he could be put into a bad spot where next turn Tameo plus the 2 constructs can attack.
Yeah.
The clue will make the constructs both 7/7s, and that would force the block with an oof.
That's pretty cool.
I would imagine Peter has a Primeval Titan that's going to be able to come into play. But that alone isn't too exciting either, as that would be a 6-mana chump blocker without the help of a amulet to be able to do any kind of shenanigans.
Yeah, so Emery, Legend Ruling, keeping the one that was there already, so she's able to cast something out of the yard.
Yep. And now Opal's there, but yeah, just the no red mana here has been really brutal so far. And Jackson just probably thought, you know, yeah, I milled over the Steam Vents. It's not going to be that big of a deal because, well, there's one collector oof. And most of the time, there is the Green Sun Zenith to be able to search it out, but the only way that Peter was able to cast Collector Oof on turn 2 was to draw it. You can't pact for it. You can't Sun Zenith. So had the one outer, and Jackson didn't necessarily play around it, but I don't blame him. I wouldn't have either.
Turn passes back now to Peter. Plenty of stuff on board here for Jackson, so really putting a lot of his eggs into these construct baskets.
Yep.
Where does Peter go from here?
Yeah, we'll see. It looks like we almost played the Crumbling Vestige here, and then which is presumably play a Titan as well. But even if you do that, it's not really that exciting as far as the lands you can get. They are coming into play tap, so you can't really get the Dryad Arbor and block with it or anything. Without Amulet, the deck does look a lot more fair and manageable.
Yes. Oh. Okay. Keen-eyed Curator hits the battlefield, so.
Which I will wonder if we're not prime timing here, we're not doing anything too exciting. All right,
that's rough.
That helps a lot. I was going to say the double chump block there might have been a little ambitious last turn, but if you're able to deal with one of these constructs, you just buy yourself probably 2 turns where you can take a hit this turn if you want from this construct, and then Primeval Titan to be able to do some good stuff next turn.
Yeah. Okay, Grinding Station, another useless artifact. But we will make a clue. Another useless artifact.
Looks like a 9/9 coming in. And honestly, Urza Saga, I can't really hype up enough. Without Urza Saga, I think this deck is basically dead. Obviously, if Breach wasn't around, it would be brutal, but Urza Saga being able to give you the best plan B against like every deck, where if they sideboard against your combo, you just beat them down with 9/9s. But not necessarily saying that's what's going to happen this game, but that is an amazing card in this deck.
It's been interesting to see the different takes on grinding Breach this week, and you know, David Inglis having probably the most unique take on the main deck, but then a couple other players having like Urza in the sideboard, for example.
Yep. And I saw a couple players that only played 2 Urza Saga as well in the main deck. I thought that one was a little wild, but I believe that was Alan Wu, who's a phenomenal Magic player, and did quite well, so I won't argue with him. He's a very smart human being.
Alrighty, Peter. Having a big think here. No timer in the finals here, so I mean, if they want to keep us here for 3 hours, they sure could, but I'm hoping that's not the case.
I don't think that's going to happen between these two decks. These are extremely fast ones that kind of just get these games done with.
Yeah.
And yeah, so far, just that Collector Oof has just done so much work in this top 8. It basically single-handedly won Peter the top 8. And it's looking to basically single-handedly win this game if there's not anything that Jackson can do about it.
Man.
And the problem is even if Jackson top decks like a fetch land, there's not an untapped red source to... okay, there is a Stomping Ground.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. Like, could he not have fetched Stomping Ground previously? Or did he have the wrong fetch?
Not positive. You can always fetch it.
Yeah, so...
Yeah, that was an interesting choice. Yeah, not sure.
Because then he could have killed the little guy.
I mean, if you have the removal spell as well. Like
I don't know if he's got it, but...
Yeah, I know Breach was one of those cards, and not sure the other two, but...
It's been quite the thorn in Jackson's side here.
Yeah. Another card Jackson could top deck, though, is the Otawara to do it without red mana, since you have 2 legends.
Sure.
Bounce the Oof and unlock,
everything.
Amber, Opal. You could sack the Opal, bring it back from the yard, and with the Breach as well, you would just win the game. So if Peter doesn't do anything crazy and Otawara is drawn from Jackson, the win's on the battlefield.
All right. Peter goes and fetches Shifting Woodland and is that Valakut?
Looks like it, and this seems to just be a setup turn.
Yep.
So probably just saying go. Okay, there is a Boseiju.
Yep. There's land for turn. Passes the turn back, so...
Okay,
all right, Jackson.
Big draw step. Running
what
out
can
of
you
time.
do, friend?
Running out of time for sure.
Give us a peek in your hand.
Has held his cards quite close to the chest.
Annoyingly.
Yeah.
we gotta get the... Hey, that's an idea. We get the feature match players' chest cams.
There you go.
Yeah.
GoPros.
Just stick GoPros on them, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Director Jeremy Knowles saying, "Oh, we've thought about it. Like, I would like to advocate for it. Thank you."
Yes, that would be helpful. So with a think this much, I would imagine we don't have a way to get this Oof off the battlefield, but could, of course, be thinking, all right, if I do this, what can you have? Here's 2 mana, Otawara.
Ooh.
Oh, my.
Okay.
Okay, this is enough. So at this point, I mean, I saw Underworld Breach in hand earlier from Jackson. So at this point, Peter would have to have, something like, I don't think the Endurance would do much. Force of Vigor.
Nature's Claim? Does he have that?
I
don't think so.
I don't think so either. That could have just been a $10,000 top deck of Otawara.
Okay. Underworld Breach.
And I mean, this is the combo's online.
Dun-dun. Woohoo. All right, things got spicy now. So Jackson is going to get going here, has everything he needed. That Oof is off the table, so let's get comboing.
Yep. So there is the mana, and I think that locks it up because what Jackson very correctly has done is made sure that he would have blue mana available here for that Swan Song and Graveyard. So now if you sack, even if Peter tries to respond now, you can sack some of those baubles and then Swan Song from the graveyard if there is a Force of Vigor. So I think this is just GG.
Sweet. Wow. Otawara, Soaring City, coming in clutch there, getting that oof off the battlefield.
And I was going to say, when Jackson drew his cards, I was like, that doesn't look like a man that just drew a one-outer here.
His poker face is fantastic.
Really good. Yeah,
Whereas
say.
You and I would have probably jumped out of our seats if we were in his position.
I would have at least did an eyebrow raise. And now I think with the consign in the yard, every door is closed. The other thing that could have been possible is endurance, where Swan Song wouldn't counter that, but now consign can counter that ability as well. So I don't think anything's available, and Jackson doesn't even have to go for this long combo. Can just go for bolt you.
Yeah, he's at 5.
Yep.
Jeez.
And looks like we are going to bolt the Keen-Eyed Curator to make sure it doesn't eat up a win condition, you know, as maybe one of the win condition was already in that exile pile. So it looks like Jackson has kind of thought of everything here.
Yeah, because that little guy's 1 mana available from Peter's side of things, right?
Yeah, just 1 mana available. So, yeah, you get to eat one thing. It doesn't matter. I guess you eat the consign if you want to try to
Endurance?
do something with endurance, but low-key endurance has never been a good answer to breach anyways. Gets rid of the rumble with the grinding station already in play. Doesn't matter too much.
And away we go.
Okay. Was about to get rid of the Swan Song there. I was like, that's the one I would not recommend.
Mox Opal comes back. What are you marking?
So untapping.
Oh, yeah, we got the Grape Shot.
Yep. Grape
Ain't
Shot
no Thassa's Oracle.
As a win con, should be a Jace as well. Once again, not exactly positive what is in the exile as far as the win con, but as long as there's not some kind of blunder of being careless here, this should be all wrapped up to send us to a game 3 here.
Doesn't seem like Jackson's speed to blunder.
No.
Grape Shot, Grape Shot, Grape Shot, boom.
So there is only red mana being floated, so that is slightly concerning as, you know, if the Force of Vigor was there. I mean, now it's pretty face up that it's not, as, you know, with only red mana floating, you can just blow up that breach. So it looked like the shields were down for a Force if possible, but...
There's a blue.
Yeah, there is 1 in the graveyard already, so would need the other 1.
Dig, dig, dig. Digging for a Grape Shot.
Yeah, and storm count being calculated there.
Yeah. More than sufficient.
Exactly.
So now we just keep turning over the top cards of the deck until we find the Grape Shots. I imagine if it was in hand, he would have just blasted it off by now.
Yep.
Pew, pew, pew.
And still going through the motions, because the one thing that is valuable from Peter doing this, and here is the spot where you can Grape Shot as well before there's any responses. If there was surgicals, if there was anything like that, endurance, Peter wouldn't have a response with the way that Jackson has done this, where he didn't say, you know, grinding station trigger on the stack. That would allow Peter to be able to have a response there. But the way he did it, there is just no possibility. So Grape Shot finishes this off, and we have a game 3.
All right, yeah.
Wow. I mean, before we even talk about sideboarding, I just want to just hype up that Otawara. That was a one-outer. Like, there was 1 sink into stupor, but we didn't have 3 mana. There was no red mana, and there's only a couple other pieces of red removal to be able to deal with Collector Roof. So what I'm seeing, that specific turn, that was the only out to send this to a game 3 here. So
That was
really,
awesome.
really awesome stuff.
And the way Jackson, responded to it, it's as if, he just wrote it up perfectly like that,
Yeah.
Of course it was going to be there. Why wouldn't it be?
Exactly. The way Jackson responded there is he just drew, grinding station number 4 or something. But looking into the sideboard, as far as things to change, probably not a lot. Maybe Jackson will respect Collector Oof a little bit more, as it was very much a card that almost ended his tournament. But, as Jackson was flipping over the cards, I was kind of taking note of what was brought in.
Yeah.
I saw the Flame of Knorr. I saw the Lightning Bolt. I didn't see the Unholy Heat, but if you're leaving in Lightning Bolt, you left in the Heat as well.
Yeah.
So it just makes a lot of sense that Jackson just doesn't have a lot of red removal in the 75. There's 2 Lightning Bolts, there's 1 Unholy Heat, and 1 Flame of Knorr. So just doesn't prioritize 2 Flame of Knorr, excuse me. So that's a decent amount, but doesn't prioritize having like 4 Heats or anything like that.
And technically, Grape Shot's removal too.
Yeah, and the Grape Shot, that stuff does really come up. Where if that's an Oracle and your opponent has a Collector Oof on the battlefield and you just top deck Oracle, you're like, great, worst draw in my deck. You top deck a Grape Shot and you got a Bobble to go with it. You're like, wow, this win con that I have to play in my deck, which is not great, just dealt with a big problem card. So I'm a big Grape Shot and Jace believer.
Yeah.
And that is the combination
That's a much
that
more
Jackson
fun.
decided to play.
A much more fun way to win.
Yeah, I just think it's better. I think the one thing that is taxing with Grape Shot is you do have to keep track of Storm. And when you play this long event, having to keep track of Grape Shot 14 times for game 1 and, all the post-board games and stuff can be exhausting. But I do think you get rewarded with those minor amounts of value you get with Grape Shot. So I would like to ask Jackson how many times Grape Shot was just great besides the it won me the game thing. As my experience, it's been awesome, and it's helped out a lot.
It's great when there's different ways to win playing, similar deck. And if you just want to play all the win cons, there's nothing stopping you, really.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. We've got Emery, Haywire Might, Unholy Heat, Grape Shot, Consign. What, 1 land, I think?
Looks awful. I would send that back.
And a Flame.
We might already be on 6. I think Jackson shuffled really quick. I'm not sure if it was a mulligan. But that one looks like a mulligan whether you're on 6 or 7.
Yep.
Okay, so that was just the first mulligan.
Thank you, judges.
And Peter did decide to keep here. Peter on the play. And once again, big favor to whoever's on the play here. So I think this is Peter's advantage, especially being on not mulliganing here. A big deal. Consign is a great card from Jackson, but it's so much better on the play because you can consign a turn 1 amulet.
Yeah.
Yeah. But on the draw, your consigns, they don't counter Primeval Titan, but they counter the ability. So that can be good. And then consigning, you can also consign Urza's Saga Chapter 3, so you don't get to go get an amulet. Consign has a lot of applications, but at the end of the day, it doesn't kill a Primeval Titan. It's a speed bump for it.
A long, long day indeed for these players. Doubtless they've been up since 7:30. I'm not entirely sure what the call time is for the players here, but nearing 8 p.m. at the tournament site.
Okay, that looks decent. Wow, that actually might look really strong.
Oh, yeah, what we got?
Yeah, I see Breach. I see Grinding Station. I see Opal, a Land, a Mox Amber, and a Haywire Might. So,
sure.
This can be no Emery, it looks like, but this is a very fast win.
Potentially.
It's also a turn 1 Haywire Might, and you can activate it if there is a amulet or something. And Urza's Saga was a great pickup there as well.
Nice. So Peter just kicked things off with the Vestige. Green Sun Zenith for the Dryad Arbor. So ramping cheekily, I'll say.
Yep. So the way it looks like right now is Jackson can go Urza's Saga, Haywire Might, Mox Amber, Mox Opal, and then next turn play land 2. If Jackson were to top deck a Mox Opal, can win on turn 2.
Holy moly.
Yeah. So this is one of the turbo-aggressive kind of hands that just look, incredibly powerful thanks to Mox Opal. But it would need a second Mox Opal. Otherwise, this is a turn 3 win from Jackson with what he has right now. So the pressure is on Peter to also have a turn 3 or have some interaction for it.
I do love the decision you have to make here. It's like, all right, can I go for it? Can I be quicker than you? Or do I have to stop what you're doing to have my fun?
Yeah, and this was, I think this land selection was heavily influenced by game number 2, brought to you by Collector Oof. Because now we're going to see, because most of the time you do want to get Breeding Pool to start, because Rumble is that important, but it low-key doesn't matter as you're about to play an Opal. And you'll have any kind of mana in air quotes.
Yeah.
But if Collector Oof comes down next turn, a.k.a. Green Sun Zenith for 2, at least you have the red mana here with Steam Vents.
Yeah.
But Jackson is once again just saying, please don't have it again.
Oof, there it is, question mark.
The one thing that Jackson can also do here is if Peter goes Urza Saga, you can go trigger on the stack, Haywire Might it, and it can't even add mana.
Oh, that's gross.
Yep.
Nice.
But that will shut off Metal Cross for Jackson, so there's a cost there as well.
Crumbling Vestige, something for 3.
Oh, God. Oof, there it is.
Ha, ha, ha. You stole my line. Oh, boy.
I mean, Green Sun Zenith has looked great so far from Peter, as it's just a way to turbo out the Oof, and we'll see if this game Jackson has a bit faster of a way to deal with that Oof.
This, yeah, so it doesn't stick around for 6 turns.
But as it stands, Haywire Might's off. Both those Mox are off. And if Jackson doesn't have a piece of removal, we're just going to see Grinding Station go.
Yeah.
Because if Jackson had removal there, it's very easy to go kill Oof, then use the Opal to play Grinding Station. So that should be very telling that he doesn't have one of the 3 1-mana removal spells.
Spelunking here is a follow-up for Peter. What land can he find? And what's on top of the library for him? So no shenanigans just yet from Peter's side of things.
Yep. And there's a Lotus.
Okay, cool.
A Lotus field entering untapped thanks to Spelunking. And yeah, if this Oof goes on to live and gives Peter the win, I think...
Oof's going to be the card of the tournament, Corey.
Yeah, we'll go let Peter know about Beckett and get that card graded immediately and framed up.
And on that wonderful segue, big thank you to our sponsors for this weekend, Beckett and Dragon Shield. If you get cards graded, like your Collector Oofs, be sure to send them over there.
So what's going on here? This seems like a very easy get rid of your 2 Crumbling Vestiges, but are we sacking a Lotus field?
Question mark. Or the Dryad Arbor even. Oh, okay.
That's shenanigans afoot for sure.
What you up to there, friend? Echoing Deeps becoming cool. Then sack the Vestige and oh no, sack the yes. Thinking about it.
This is
so it'll enter untapped.
Yep. So this
Sacks
is
it to
6
itself.
mana. There's prime time.
Hey buddy. What's up?
Now let's see what we can get. So there is another Lotus field in the deck, plus a Vesuva. So if there is another Summoner's Pact for the Aftermath Analyst, we could really be going crazy here. And with Peter putting these lands into the graveyard so aggressively, it doesn't look out of the realm that something's happening here.
Is this the turn we find our winner, Corey?
It easily could be, or just a turn where, Peter does something like get a Simic Growth Chamber and a Boseiju, and bounce the Boseiju, leave the Simic Growth Chamber untapped, say go. That way, if Jackson does have the ability to kill Collector's Oof and play Breach, it won't be a win right away. And honestly, that looks like it would be enough right now. So we'll see if Peter just goes for that surface value line. Of course, you always do the haste first. You get these lands going, and now we'll see if the choice is to get a Simic Growth Chamber plus Boseiju, or if we're going for much bigger plans with trying to win the game this turn. If Peter can't win, the Boseiju line seems awesome. Yep.
There you go. Boseiju Growth Chamber. So has that available to him to prevent any nonsense from Jackson's side of things. But Jackson gets to untap.
Yeah. Gets to untap, but with Boseiju here in the wings to prevent any kind of shenanigans, Jackson just has to have way too many cards here.
Does Consign stop Boseiju? Doesn't, right?
No. Wouldn't be enough there.
Chapter 2. There's a Saga.
Yeah, Boseiju, of course, activated ability for the
Sure.
channel. But, yeah, I mean, just you got to think, like, what is the way to come back here? And sure, you can make a 5-5.
Oh, land go. Ugh.
I think we're about to enter the final tournament of the regional championship here in Portland.
I think so, too. Peter untaps, draws. He's got everything he needs. And there was no Summoner's Pact played last turn, so doesn't need to pay for that.
We'll see. Primeval Titan to be able to attack. You can get Simic Growth Chamber, Teleria West, bounce the T-West, have transmute that for Summoner's Pact, get Aftermath Analyst to get the lands back. Now, you still got to have something else there. You know, we've seen Peter have a little bit of a setup time to be able to go, like, you know, Titan again to get the Shifting Woodlands and the Mirror Pool. But even on just what's on the battlefield right now, you can also just get Mirror Pool and anything and just Mirror Pool a Titan to be able to do some more shenanigans.
Stack is nuts.
It is nuts. And the Valakut's already in play, so if you're able to go fetch up the Dryad of Elysian Grove and you're able to, let's say, Vesuva on the Valakut plus get, you know, a bounce land. Play Dryad, then play the bounce land. That's 6 damage plus this Primeval Titan is going to deal some damage. The one thing Jackson does have available is make a 5/5 construct, double block it with Haywire Might, and the 5/5 kill this Titan, but you know, these are the spots
desperate measures
where the damage is done. The Primeval Titan, if it gets 3 activations,
it's insane.
It's too much, and yeah, we feel for you, Jackson. This one's
slipping away.
Yeah, looking like you're just going through the motions and seeing if there's anything to be done. And if there was a consign or something, you'd probably just consign the Primeval Titan's ability here. We know one of the 2 cards in Jackson's hand was the Breach, and Jackson was that close to winning.
Yeah,
you know?
that was so close.
Yeah.
So Simic Growth Chamber again, bouncing Boseiju. Yeah, I mean, Boseiju could just get rid of there as a Saga.
Yeah, you could if you want there. Not too big of a deal.
So many options here now for Peter, who's just gone absolutely haywire with this, with the might of this Primeval Titan.
Yeah, so it looks like there was 2. Now there's 2 Boseijus in hand for Peter. So if Jackson does to go for this double block line, you know, Peter can actually just Boseiju the grinding station, something else that would shrink the construct to a 4/4. Then this looks like the quote-unquote kind of bad block, as it would be only 5 damage here to this Primeval Titan. But with Peter doing something proactively here, you got to think he's got the win. And with him not waiting for the double block.
Oh, okay. Otawara getting rid of the construct and enough to get rid of the Haywire Might too?
Yeah.
No? Yeah, let's get that in
Just
the bin.
looking for the block there. So takes 5, gains 2, takes 3 essentially, down to 6. 6 is 2 Valakut triggers away. If yeah, it should be down to 6. So if we have a Summoner's Pact and a bounce land, we are all wrapped up here.
Green Sun Zenith.
Green Sun Zenith for 3 gets Dry to the Elysian Grove. If there is one land, or if there's 2 land drops here with the Valakut or 1 Vesuva to copy Valakut, we have ourselves a champion.
There we go. That's going to do it. Jackson's seen enough, and Peter Husisian fights through some insane mulligans to take the win here. Our regional champion in Portland is Peter Husisian on Amulet Titan.